Emale níbẹ̀ yẹn ò nílé lóko. Ẹ sì kú dédé àsìkò yìí. Hello everyone, it's Adirunke again. I hope your day is going well. Today, I'd like to translate the word Gbajumo. Gbajumo, what it means and what the words that combine to make up that one word are. So on my left, I have a painting of the Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́, the current one in fact, Ikú Bàbá Yèyé, Lámídì Adéyẹmí. So you can see, and then the big cat. I talked about big cats and what their significance is, what they represent in the Yoruba culture. This is the current Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́. Gbajumo, what does it mean? If you call somebody Gbajumo, if you want to translate it to in the English language, not necessarily word for word, but you want to translate it, Gbajumo is celebrity. Gbajumo is celebrity. So if you call somebody Gbajumo, it must be that they are one of the following. They are famous or popular or influential or well-known. And all of these words relate to one another. Famous, popular, influential, well-known. These are the attributes that you would find regarding somebody that you would call a celebrity or celebrity. So, Gbajumo. And people often try to make sense of the word in and of itself. Like, what does it mean? Gba. Gba. Collect. Ju. Maybe that's oju. I. Mo. What does it? Collect I and know. That doesn't make sense. What does it mean? It's a combination of igba, oju, and mo. Igba, oju, and mo. These are the three words that combine, that give you the word Gbajumo. Igba is 200. Igba is 200. Eni eji eta erin arun efa eje ejo is 200. Oju is eye or a pair of eyes. Oju, eye or eyes. Here it's serving as a metaphor for person. So I will make a video in that regard. I thought about doing so when I was preparing this one. We typically use body parts as metaphors for people. So if I say, etiketa ubodo bonkota joso, 3 ears or 3 sets of ears must not hear what I've just told you. If I whispered it to you, etiketa ubodo bo, jeko wa laarin awa mejeji nikan, What I've just told you is essentially a secret. Let it be between both of us. Let the third ear or the third set of ears not hear those words. So you're using ear as a metaphor for person. If you say oju keji ogbodo riwa, oju keta ogbodo riwa, the third pair of eyes or the third eye mustn't see us. So, this is not supposed to be for the public consumption or for the consumption of anybody else except both of us. Or even if I say oko en shoju meji, this person's, let's just say husband, for the sake of this example. Also, husband is a common translation for oko. This person's husband is doing the second. Oju can be eye, oju can be point, oju can be hole. So this person's husband is doing a second hole. Or okwa en shoju meji. This person's husband is doing 2 holes. They are doing the second person. There are different ways to translate that. It could also be that they are being deceptive, two eyes, two faces. Oju can also be face. So it could be that they are being deceptive. The sort of link, the deception and the... But typically you would say it when it's, actually adultery or something. Somebody cheating on somebody or whatever it's called. So I will collect my thoughts on that and get back to you on using body parts, specific body parts, as metaphors for individuals. But depending on the context, depending on the sense, the sense that is involved, whether it is sight or hearing or, mo is no, mo is no. So when you put these words together, 200 eyes, no, or 200 people, no. Basically, Gbajumo, a celebrity, based on the Yoruba word for that, would be somebody that 200 people know. It doesn't have to be that, 200 exactly, but 200 is a metaphor for abundance. I told you when I made the video on Igba Shishin Okinden Odowo, and when I made a video recently on I'm going to see if I can find it really quickly, because I touched on it on my sixth video on incantations. Ihoho lagbado nwo ebe tó bá jáde tán adonigba aṣọ. 200. 3 is a metaphor for power in the Yoruba language. Ọkùnrin mẹ́ta, power or something that is highly significant. Things that come in threes are powerful. If I say àrò mẹ́ta, ọjọ́ àbámẹ́ta, ọkùnrin mẹ́ta, even if you say etiketa, okay, I mentioned it in that video. I'm forgetting some of them. But you can watch the video and see. That's for 3. For 200, 200 is wealth, abundance, or like the very height of something. So I talked about it when I gave the incantation Igba Shishin Okinden Odowo. I also mentioned it when I did the recent one, 200 is abundance, wealth, the very height of something. If I say something like that, like 200, it doesn't mean that I have 200 enemies or 200 of my enemies. I'm just saying with 200, I'm just saying, like, irrespective of how many they can be, the very height of them. Numbers are also metaphorical in the Yoruba language and culture. If I mention a specific, this knowledge can even be improved if one becomes a member of the Ogboni society. Obviously, you don't take an application letter and say, "Oh, please, I want to join you," or whatever. It's not really my place to talk about how people actually become Ogbonis, especially in current times, But this knowledge even becomes more advanced when you join these societies. A lot of things that are not even common knowledge, you get to know. Or if, like, you are close to a king or things like that. Numbers are metaphorical, basically. So a person that 200 people know is sort of a way of saying a person that an abundance of people know. An abundance, whether they are 200 or more, before you can actually claim celebrity status in any, or that you are influential in some way, apart from your family members, at least 200 people have to. This is the traditional sense now. This is, back in the day, how many people were even in societies? This was millenniums ago. In the whole community, you can have 300, 200 people, so but 200 here is not really 200 people per se. The 200 is just serving as a metaphor for abundance. a famous person is one that 200 people know, that the uttermost amount of people know that. With 200, it doesn't really mean that everybody knows them either. Like, but they're well known by at least 200 people. That is not their mother or that does not include their mother or their cousin. People that are influential. It's just metaphorical. But in the beginning, it would have been so, you know, even celebrity status, being a celebrity, is sort of very practical and grounded too. You know, there wasn't fame per se. There were no red carpets per se. There was no Instagram. There was no YouTube. There was still a practical thing to being well known, to being a celebrity. People knew you, and typically people respected you, especially if you were well known for something good. People respected you and all that. But there was still a practical thing to it. So this shows like the very practical side. 200 people know you. A good number of people know you. 200 people. Now a million people can know you. Or whatever. We are now much more populated than we were millenniums ago. And how people got their fame or their celebrity status was usually dependent on the family that they were burn that they were burned into that they were born into. So like a royal family or whatever, or the position that they assumed within that family. So if you become a king, obviously you're going to become a celebrity, and you're going to be, or chieftaincy titles and all that, and also gifts and talents. People like Oya was very good with like the environment, and she had specific powers through herbs and with the power of the weather and nature. Somehow she was able to, again, a lot of things their own ancestors told them as well. Our ancestors also had ancestors. So and this is the reincarnation of the energy of Oya that we call Oya. The person that actually lived. Gifts or talents, people like Oshun was one of the first people that we know. Of course, there's only because there were no records, really. We can't categorically beat our chest and say our ancestors 5,000 years ago were exactly like this, and this were their names, and this was what they called this location, and this was what they ate, and this was how they did their spirituality. Yes, some things are brought over through oriki and words of mouth and all that, but if you say that the way things were done 5,000 years ago, even in our spirituality, is the way that they are done now, you're mistaken. Certain things are less available. Certain things are more available. Even you don't even need to go millenniums ago. If you just within the past, let's say within even the 1700s until now, a lot of things have changed, even with spirituality. Like, out of Ifa, you have Santeria and Lukumi, and certain things may be different with the way they do their things. We may use palm nuts for certain things. They would use cowries or something, not necessarily because that was what was most available where they were, and this is not necessarily Lukumi. I'm just saying, like, for instance, a lot of things are modified depending on availability and knowledge about them, and even changes. So gifts, talents. Osho was one of the first people that discovered the power of precious stones and crystals. When you honor Osho today, Omio, Otao, that Ota is stone. We say sacred stone, but like it could also say precious stone, gemstone. So crystals, or should use the energy of crystals as well. Talents, people like Yamapo, who was really good with tie and dye, adire, and all that. And she was good with birds. She could send birds on errands. And she could, because she was an aje, she could become a bird, and she could... Not every aje can really shapeshift into a bird, or... Okay, I'm talking too much. But gift, talents, even their occupations. Ogun, the human Ogun that lived, was a blacksmith. So they made weapons. They were well known for that. Bravery or leadership, discoveries. Oh, they discovered this, they discovered that. I'm trying to see. A lot of warriors got famous during wars. When I made my last video on last things, I was saying that within the 1700s and like the late 1800s, there were just wars here and there. So people like Batonga, people for wealth, people like Efushetuani Wura. For bravery, you have people like Moremi Ajasoro. That was how fame was achieved back in the day. Now there are just many more means of getting famous. You can just go on TikTok today and shake your buttocks and 1 million likes, or you can just say something brilliant and 2 million comments and likes, and you can get fame that way. So, but back in the day, this was usually how these factors were usually very prevalent in the fame that people got. A famous person is one that 200 people know, that an abundance of people know, essentially, not necessarily 200 people. If the entire communities was 200 people millenniums ago, and 100 people knew the person, an abundance of people know. Gbajumo. So that's that. About that. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. And I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day. And bye for now.
Àṣẹ o.